Maybe Movies! Hello and welcome back to Maybe Movies with myself, Max.
And Sam.
And we are a dynamic duo daring to do deliciously devilish things with... And I've run out of alliteration because I can't think of a D thing for films. If you were with us on Wednesday, then you'll know that we are looking at Act 2 today of our new vision of Soylent Green called Soylent featuring Richard Thorn from The Omen Part 2 in place of Charlton Heston. Before we do that, we are first of all going to have a very quick word from our sponsors.
Oh, yes.
And the sponsor for this video is us. Maybe Movies is part of the Zadrum channel, which is part of Zadrum, a small business that I started in 2016 to bring the works of 3 generations of writer to a new reading audience. This was kind of like a side project which has taken off and taken on a life of its own, which is fantastic. So at the moment we have 3 books out, one by each of our authors. The first of which, and the one that really kind of started the whole thing off, is Verboten, which was written by my grandfather under his pseudonym Sidney Esmond and was published in 1940. Like a lot of my grandfather's early books, they were written during and set against the backdrop of World War II. And this one is about Harry Deller, an English schoolteacher who, on an exchange programme in Germany, finds himself having to cope with allegations of espionage by the local Gestapo at the start of the Second World War. We then have The Refugees from Daffodil Cottage, which was the only work published by my father during his lifetime, and it's a children's book, kind of pitched perfectly for children of 7 or 8 years over. It has similarities to things like Watership Down, with a little bit of The Animals of Farthing Wood, and I think one reviewer said that it had just a smattering of Animal Farm in there as well. And then we have Book of Squalor, which is my own entry into our list of titles at the moment. It's a collection of short horror fiction comprising some prose, some poetry, and even a short screenplay as well. All 3 of the books are available as paperback or as ebooks, either from our Zadrum website, a link in the description below, or also from Amazon as well. But of course, if you are going to buy, then please do come and buy from our shop, because that way you'll know that we're going to get more of the money than Amazon will, and maybe we can just stop Jeff Bezos destroying Lord of the Rings any more than he already has. Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, thank you for listening, and now back to the show. And now that that's out of the way, also a very quick shout out again today for an old friend who I should have done one for a while ago. I'm terribly sorry. This is for Kara, otherwise known as the Open-Minded Wanderer.
Oh, it has been a while.
It has been a while, yes. Kara is a wonderful person, wonderful channel. She's an avid walker and does a lot of videos on the channel of places mostly around near where she lives, or it certainly was during the pandemic, and I think it is still a bit more now. So around Wiltshire, around that area.
I do think she may have paid a visit to Ireland recently. I might be mistaken, but I think I've seen a couple of videos based in Ireland. I might be wrong.
I need to
slap me if I'm wrong,
yes.
My dear.
But yes, and some lovely drone shots in some of the videos that she does as well.
Oh yeah, you do excellent work with the videos.
Yeah. So please do go check it out. And as always, Cara, thank you as always for your support.
Thank you.
Ooh.
Oh. Why do you have Blib Frog Splawn?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, why? Why?
It says basil seeds.
And basil?
That looks like frog spawn to me.
It does. I'm sure there's lots of people out there looking for horrible things to put in their movies and going, ooh.
Ooh, yeah.
That's just weird. It tastes nice, but it's weird.
Does it have texture?
Yeah, it's a bit...
Oh.
It's not like the bits in the other stuff. They just keep giving me drinks with bits.
You've obviously offended someone again.
Maybe now we know where Chris and Shane have gone.
Why?
Right, let's move on swiftly and look at Act 2.
Let's act like we know what we're doing.
Yes, this one's a bit easier, I think, than, as I said, most of what we did the setup was in the first one.
Yes, we got the momentum going in the first act, which we need to do. Or rather, you got the momentum going in the first act, which we needed to do. Since we're allowing that Richard is in the building, him being followed, not a problem. Or it could be his bodyguard being followed.
Yeah.
Him being privy to the girls' party.
Could we throw in then, because he is in the same building, that they've hacked into his part of the security feed and are watching him remotely?
We could do. We could have some random cutaways of some elusive unknown person watching him on vid screens or whatever they call them. Scanners, wasn't it?
Yes.
They called them.
Yeah. I suppose, again, so this has just popped into my head now as well, probably because he makes actually a sort of a proper appearance in this act. It didn't occur to me before because of Thorn's status in this. He probably knows Santini, the governor.
Oh, yes. Wait, where does Santini come into it?
He comes into it towards the end of the act when his hatchet man has that meeting with him in that place where there's those few little trees.
Oh, that's right.
Just before the riot at the
Yeah, he's just there for that one scene and then he disappears.
Yeah, but it just made me think: do we need to include him any more? I mean, we don't have to. It was just a question more than anything.
I think we'll wait and see how we feel when we come to that actual...
Okay.
Yeah, I think at the moment, I don't think we need to include him anymore, but we might change our minds by the time we get to it later on.
Sure. First bit, this is where the girls are all around at Shell's place, aren't they?
Yes.
It's the start of the act. So with everything that we've done before, again, with Thorn going to meet Sol, again, more than once in the Act 1, again, we can layer that with his kind of proper first look at what life is like at street level.
Yes.
I'm guessing we're just, because moving it, that somebody in his power or his level of power would be able to get hold of a curfew pass.
Yes, of course. Yes.
I think that's going to go pretty much the same then. That scene with Charles, because obviously then you got Charles
comes in, gives the grief and gets bit slapped verbally.
Yes.
But instead of police authority, it's, do you know who I am?
Exactly. It's up to us. I think this is where we can't really kind of dodge around it anymore.
Well, are they going to go to bed?
Yeah.
It feels like she's trained to do that. I mean, because realistically, like Thorn's character, like Charlton Heston's character as a cop, he had some ability to protect her, but he couldn't afford an apartment. He couldn't employ her. But she just seemed to go to whoever might be able to protect her, and she's trained to do these things to please them. Mm-hmm. So I think she would attempt it, at least.
I'm happy with that.
This is a cynical film. I think maybe we should just give in to the notion that that's just how this stuff works.
Absolutely. There's that. I mean, the only thing, if you wanted to try and put a slightly more... I don't want to use the word romantic.
It's like I said earlier, maybe she's trying to convince him to take her contract on.
Yes.
Because he lives in the building.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
No, I like the fact, because we managed to keep that, even in these tender moments, there is that underlying, as you say, sense of
transaction,
cynicism.
isn't it?
Yes.
Everything's a transaction with these people.
Because I was wondering whether, by this point, because he's seen a bit more now of what life is like for everybody else, and it's that mental exhaustion that she then kind of keys into to offer her services as a balm against that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was thinking. But that works just as well. Or we could put the two of them together.
Absolutely. They both work, as you know.
And that's obviously where we find out about the priest.
Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking that Richard is going to insist that his bodyguard takes him down to the church himself. I don't think he
risk going down there on his own.
Well, not so much the risk of going down there on his own, but I'm kind of been assuming in the back of my head that bodyguard has been doing his job by insisting on going down to the street level when things need doing.
Yes.
But at this point, Richard's so involved, he needs to hear it for himself.
Of course. Are we going to go then same kind of reaction to the child and dead mother?
See, that might get him. That might get him, because that's like, there's seeing that people are hungry, but seeing someone literally dying on the steps of church with a child tied to them.
Yes.
That's gotta do something to a person.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't wonder whether he would take the child rather than just put them in the church. I'm not saying he's going to adopt the child, but he can probably put them somewhere.
That's a really good question.
Because he has the facility. He has the power to do so.
I think at a certain point we have to acknowledge that Richard Thorn is not Detective Thorn.
Mm-hmm.
And although this is a cynical world, he's a more gracious person.
Yes.
So he would do something. I think he'd compelled to do something, and so maybe take the girl in. I wouldn't have thought of that on my own, but I think you're right. I think he'd need to do something.
So what about this? So they do that. He gives the child to his bodyguard, gets there to put him in the car while he goes into the church.
Yes.
While he's going into the church, the bodyguard's putting the girl into the car, and there's a clatter of a tin can somewhere. So you get that kind of, there's somebody following us.
Ah, yes, absolutely, yeah.
And then, so to compound he then goes into the church.
Yes, of course. Which I'm guessing the scene's going to go very similarly to how it does in the original film.
Mm-hmm. I did wonder if, and again, we can drop it in there as subtly as you like. We don't actually say anything directly here, but when we go back to the church later when Tab assassinates the priest, there's just been a massive delivery of foodstuffs.
Right.
So it could be in the background, there will be some boxes with the Thorn Industries logo on it, distributing food to the people in the church, because he wants to do something to help.
Right, so we should talk about this. Are you starting to suggest that Soylent is actively acting against him, not because he's just interested in the murder, but because he's a direct rival to them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, okay, then we need to start playing this up.
It's, yes, we need to, this is where, again, more in this act we need to, some of it will come through exchanges with the people who are linked to Soylent. That, he's been on our radar for a while because of what his business is doing.
Right, let me think about this. Yeah, we won't get the "I'm not my damn job" scene because that's purely cop-related. We'll get the goodbye priest bit.
I mean, we could have, Hatcher leaning on him to drop it. You need to leave it to us. You don't have the authority to investigate this.
Yes, we could have that. Yes, that would be good.
Which we could even have him turn around at them and say, all right, so, how much are they paying you? I'll double it. Because, again, he can do it.
Yeah,
if you can be bought once, you can be more than one. By the sounds of it, you can be bought once, you can be bought twice.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, that's a nice little touch. What we won't get is the whole bit with riot duty and running out of Soylent Green.
I was trying desperately to think of how we could
Unless it's just a cutaway scene.
But we would lose the assassination attempt.
Oh, of course we would. Oh, yes. Oh, ooh.
See, my only thinking was that it's a setup.
Wait, okay.
Oh, no,
wait.
No,
No, we can work with this.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I've got something, but you go first.
So maybe we have the scene start the way it starts and they run out of Soylent Green, but then Thorn Industries turns up.
With some of the stuff from their experimental plant. Yes, that's better than what I had. I love it. But because what I was going to suggest is...
And Thorn is there to
oversee it.
To oversee it, which cues the assassination.
And then instead of getting the riot because Soylent's run out, you get the riot because everyone sees all this lovely new food stuff that looks better than Soylent and all want a piece of it, and you just get mob rule.
Yeah.
Because my suggestion was going to be, because we'd thrown in that bit where he kind of half runs into the guy who kills Simonson, his own people have been investigating in the background and say, we think we've identified it, we think it's this guy. He's normally here on a Tuesday for Soylent Green, and that's why he turns up.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Yeah, looking for the suspect.
But I think your one works better.
Well, I was just thinking about how we need to tie in this rivalry.
Yes, but that also, because that then also means that the order from Santini to remove the cop, which is directly before this scene, still works out. We can still leave those bits to play out normally.
Yes.
And then him being there to try and kill Thorn, again, still works.
Absolutely. Brilliant.
And again, all we'll do instead is, obviously, we'll get the heels. Oh, how about this? And again, it might be a bit much.
Yeah.
When he takes the shot,
yeah.
Either the first... I think I'm happy with the first shot to be as it is in the film, where the woman gets in the way and gets shot in the side of the head.
Yeah.
But the second shot that he takes at him, oh no, because the second shot he hits him. I was going to say maybe one of the shots his bodyguard takes the bullet.
Considering Thorn's age and fragility, if we overly wound him, things start to fall apart quite quickly.
Yeah, but it also takes, at this point, it takes the bodyguard out of the picture.
Play.
Yeah, so he has to do more of the investigating himself.
Yes, I like it.
And the other thing I think we're forgetting about here as well is we are thinking about William Holden in 1975, not in 1980 or whatever.
No, I wasn't thinking that at all. I was thinking we were literally lifting the character directly out of the movie.
I suppose we are, aren't we? Yeah. Sorry, that's me confusing movie world with real world, the real world concerns of, when this film was made.
Yeah.
Because it would have been made sort of 10 years before that.
Well, of course it was, yes. A good 10 years. No, almost exactly 10 years, like 9 or 10 years.
Yeah.
Was it 82, I think it was, and
Soylent was 73,
yeah. So I think... Minus, he has to go and interrogate Tab.
Yes. So maybe what we get there instead is when he goes to interrogate Tab, it's not a physical confrontation. Tab, obviously, yes, he knows his position, but he, it's not like, oh, I'm not going to hit a cop. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, you've got loads of money, but because he works for people who arguably more power than him, he's not threatened by him. And again, it's just this constant kind of attrition of things that he's experiencing that in the end he does just knock him out. You just all of that pent up rage from all of these years of having to live polite society, and then now seeing how bad things have really got.
Yes,
just comes out.
So all right, okay, yeah.
I just it catches him by surprise.
I was thinking that possibly we would keep the bodyguard for a little bit longer, so he would take the initial brunt of the beating, and then would essentially overpower Tab, but be taken out of commission by that fight. Yeah, so he's already wounded. He's taken a shot to the leg, and now he's got into a rough confrontation with Tab Feeling. We
could even let William Holden do a Kirk and just grab, an iron bar or something and hit him.
Frying pan.
yes, frying pan, of course it is. And then begin, because that's a nice moment as well, where it's a kind of a slap around the face for Thorn himself. Because it means even with all of his polite upbringing and all of those kind of things, it just takes a couple of bad days to reduce him to the level of an animal.
Yes, it does.
Which then gives us motivation for him to go back to see Shirl towards the end of the act.
Of course, yeah.
As that kind of, again, that calming balm that you had earlier already. And then we're with Roth going to the exchange.
Exactly.
I suppose that's the only thing, that we do need to cover, because we didn't cover it in Act 1, is getting Saul the books.
I have to admit, I did think about it a few minutes ago, and I made the assumption that as a book, they would have gotten the police who did come to the scene would have gotten the books to Saul.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, I like that even more. So he's still working for a cop, but
because he's a book.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean he can't get hired by someone else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Fantastic.
So that tidies up our second act.
This is actually proving to be a lot easier than I think either of us anticipated.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Actually, you're right, because after this it's going to start to run on rails, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Huh. Well, it was still messy, though. It took a lot of work to get us here.
Well, as I said, when I looked at it, I thought Act 1 is where, all of our setup is in Act 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Without it, the movie just doesn't work.
No. Brilliant. So that is us done for today and for this week. We will be back next Wednesday with Act 3 of Soylent 2. That's going to happen every time. And then when you go to sleep, all you're going to hear is somebody going, doo. Is it starting to annoy you yet? Anyway, until then, have a great weekend. Have a brilliant start to next week, and we will see you on Wednesday.
As always, guys, TTFN.
Ba 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 ba.